Hey guys, I'm Ubiru and welcome back to World of Warships. Today we'll be looking at the Tier 4 Japanese cruiser, the Kuma. Now this ship is very, very similar to the American equivalent, the Phoenix, which is also at Tier 4. Now, they are almost picture copies of themselves, except for the fact the Phoenix has a slightly taller mast, and it's a bit longer. This is the Phoenix. It has 10 guns of 152mm at, when it's fully upgraded, it has 10 of those. And yeah, it has torpedoes. Now the Japanese equivalent, which is this one, the Kuma. Now as you can see, it's slightly higher, but it's the same sort of configuration. It's the same sort of size. It has slightly smaller masts. It has torpedoes. It has this very slightly less guns. With a slightly less caliber, but they are, other than a few differences, they are very much alike. So let's go on with the Kuma. Survivability 30. Okay, this is a fully upgraded Kuma. So 30 survivability gives us a grand total of 24,000 health and up to 65mm of armor. It's a cruiser. It's not going to have huge amounts of armor, especially at this tier. In fact, the gun casemate has 0mm armor. It has nothing. So this can be very easily penetrated by pretty much everything. The Citadel is a bit tougher, but rounds do penetrate quite a lot of armor, and this would be penetrated by pretty much everything, including destroyer rounds. So armor's pretty petty actually on this thing. So the artillery of the ship, we have 7 single-barreled 140mm guns. We have 2 at the very front, one which is kind of peculiarly, very oddly angled, which is behind, and this gun here is primarily used for broadsides. And we have 2 sort of in towards the front on either side of the ship. We have 2 in the middle of the ship, and we have 1 at the back. So that's 7 guns in total, which gives this the potential of firing up to 6 rounds on 1 broadside. The only one missing the other end is this gun just here, the gun which cannot fire to the other side of the ship. But this one can. They all can fire in the same direction, with the exception of this one and the parallel side one. It depends which side the ships are. So the guns do not a huge amount of damage. They do HE damage is about 1,400. It's not excessive, and the AP is about 3,000. But the good thing about this ship and its guns is the fact that it can fire very fast. It has here a rate of fire of 10 rounds per minute. So this can very easily pelt destroyers, cruisers, and battleships from pretty long range. And not only do they fire very fast, but the turn time is very, very quick as well. It's only 20 seconds for 180-degree turn. So this thing can get its guns on someone very quickly, fire as, I think the max distance is, yes, it's 12.4 kilometers. So 12.4 kilometers is good. You can pretty much engage a lot of battleships at this range and all your cruisers. I wouldn't recommend firing at destroyers at that range, because destroyers tend to move very fast. But the guns and the ability in this ship is fantastic. But that's a great part of the ship, but it's not the major part in my opinion. Well, it's great. It's a nice. It's like icing on the cake. But the real part of Japanese cruisers, and this is no exception to this, is the torpedo power. So we have 4 times 2-barrel 533mm torpedoes. We have 1 just above the waterline here on the right side, and 1 on a bit closer to the front on the deck. So and both on the parallel sides. So we have 2 on each side with 2 barrels each. So that's 4 torpedoes per side. So 8 torpedoes if you were to do 4 in a straight line and then turn it around and then do another 4. Next out is the AA guns. This is a very early ship in World of Warships. These sort of ships aren't really focused so much on anti-air capability as much as the bigger tiers, like the tier 6 to going upwards to the tier 10. They're all very, very heavily armed with anti-air capability, but this, however, is very weakly armed. You only have 2 times 7.7mm guns and 2 times double-barreled 25mm guns. So there's not a lot here. You won't count on this ship to defend your fleet against planes. But then there aren't a huge amount of planes when you get into matchmaking with this thing, because there's only a couple of aircraft carriers, and they tend to have very only a few planes at their disposal. Next stat is the maneuverability of the ship, which, as you would expect as a cruiser of this tier, is very similar to a destroyer. So it has 71, which is great, with a maximum speed of 36 knots, which is nearing the speed of a destroyer, or yeah, it's around the sort of mark of a destroyer. Typical destroyer speed. So 36 knots is really good. You can turn very quickly as well. That's 7 seconds for 180 degree a full turn in the rudder shift time, and 820 meter circle radius. So if you're nearing towards a rock, you can very quickly turn right or left to evade the rock, and then turn the guns around and fire at an enemy very quickly. And the last stat is the concealment of the ship. So again, not bad for a cruiser. It's about average for this ship. The surface detectability of the ship is 11.3 kilometers, but your guns go in excess of 12 kilometers. So you can theoretically fire at an enemy past your detectability range. So they won't be able to see you, and you'll be able to fire at them quite easily. But of course, the air detectability range is substantially less. So if you have a scout plane going overhead, you will get spotted, and they will find you. But this ship isn't very strong. It can't really stand up to battleships, not at all in any respect for battleships. But it can stand up to Phoenixes. It can stand up to Omahas. I've stand up to some Clevelands in this ship. There's been some very nice brawls because the rate of fire is fantastic. You don't have to worry about the caliber of the guns, but the 10 rounds per minute really makes a difference. So 10 times by 7, so that's 70 rounds per minute, which is crazy. So the main sort of stats of the ship, let's look at the modules. So there are no gun upgrades, but you don't need gun upgrades with this ship. I mean, it's a fantastic guns anyway. They turn quickly, they fire quickly. I very much like the gun configuration in this ship, so I don't need an upgrade there. We have a gunfire control system, which most ships have, which is just a 10% increase in range. This one goes to a max distance of 12.4 kilometers. And the hull upgrade, which takes you to the Tier 6 Oba, which is I think it's a gradual increase. Yeah, it's only 1200 increase in health, and it's like a very slight increase in maneuverability also. I haven't chosen any credit bought stats for the ship, any credit bought upgrades for the ship, because, well, you don't really need them at this tier. It's tier 4. Very soon I'll unlock the tier 6, and then these become irrelevant, and I have to sell the ship, and then I have to take them off and then sell them. And, it's just too much hassle, really, and it's not really worth it. You could arguably have like a torpedo tube modification, or damage control system modification, reduced chance of fire, etc. But it's not necessary in any way. Something interesting about this ship in particular is there's a few ships in this game. For instance, the Amagi and the Kuma, and there's a couple of American equivalent ones, like the Lexington, which they skip a tier. World of Warships, there's gaps at the moment. There's these gaps. So the Kuma at tier 4 skips tier 5 altogether and goes straight to tier 6, but it costs the same base experience that would cost to purchase a tier 6 at tier 4. So it's quite a bit of a more of a grind than tier 5 to tier 6. You accumulate more experience. But yeah, you skip tier 5 and you go straight to tier 6, which is quite a formidable cruiser, actually, the Oba. I'm very nearly there, so just probably another 3 or 4 wins, and I'll hopefully get that in my hangar. Yeah, so this has been the Kuma. So it's actually a very nice ship. I don't think I've mentioned this, but the torpedoes do go to a maximum range of 7 kilometers, which is very big for a cruiser. Much bigger than the American equivalent at this tier. Considering the destroyers going up to tier 6 to tier 7, the destroyers with torpedoes only have a max distance of 10 kilometers, and that's with the Japanese. This having 7 kilometers, and they're quite fast, it's very, very good if you want to target some people close to rocks or however. Anyway, let's have a look at some games, and I'll show you guys how this is played, or how I play it. Okay, here we are. This is a Tier 4 match on Big Race. So this is a pretty good map actually. Most sort of destroyers and cruisers duke out in the area just in front of me here. The destroyers go straight in and lay their torpedoes, hoping to kill as many big ships as possible. The battleships tend to head towards the north of the map, sort of the northeast, towards the big rock to my right. And we're going to head towards here. We're going to just sort of roam around here. We're not going to go straight in. They do have 3 destroyers and 3 cruisers, all capable of using torpedoes. So we can't get in too close around here. What we'll do is we'll probably do circles around this rock in front of me, just here. Lay down some torpedoes and use our 12.4 kilometer distance on these guns to lay down some fire on the enemy. So these guns, they do fire optimally about this sort of distance away from the front. This gets all the guns active sort of around here. Yeah, 6 guns for a broadside, and there's one that cannot work as it's on the other side of the ship. Yeah, they can't see any ships at the moment, but they'll come into range very soon. They have no Tier 3 St. Louis or anything like that. They just have bog standard Tier 4 Phoenix and Kumas. They will have torpedoes, Phoenix of which have slightly worse range than the Kuma, and they're all quite formidable cruisers for their tier, so I have to be quite wary here. But they all have armor, you know, less enough for me to do some good damage on them. And with a huge rate of fire on this ship, very few things can stand chance against this in a brawling fight. And this, of course, is a battleship. So the Phoenix is coming around with him. The Yogi seems to be lurking, but it doesn't seem like too interested in going towards our destroyers. The enemy does have 2 aircraft carriers, and so do we, so I have to be a bit wary of the enemy using torpedo bombers on me. This ship's anti-air capability is rather terrible, so there's not a lot of use really in trying to engage planes. That destroyer is coming around, and we have AP loaded, which is probably the best ammo available in this ship. Most ships actually, armor piercing is just a good ammo type. It does higher damage than HE. It doesn't cause fires, but fire only causes a very small amount of damage. We're leading the shots towards the destroyer, hoping to get some shots, and we hit him for nothing much, just 106. But look at this. The fire rate is exceptional. Look, it's already half reloaded. We can shoot before it even lands. And that time we hit a bit more. This sort of distance, the destroyer has a much higher advantage over us. He can easily dodge these shells, and it's not going to be a problem for him. We are in fact hitting him, so he doesn't seem to be dodging nearly as well as he could be. So the torpedoes are coming in. There are destroyers and cruisers all over my front. I have to be a bit careful. I am now in range of... Oh, okay, there's a destroyer very close proximity to me. I use my my primary target. I have to focus him down. I have to leave the shots a bit further because they do go very fast, these destroyers. The Wix ones especially. Around 40 kilometers. Lead the shots. Armor piercing. 530 damage. Okay, we have been hit, but only critted slightly. We are leading the shots still further for this guy. Your primary target in this ship is undoubtedly destroyer, and secondarily a cruiser. But destroyers can be very easily destroyed in this ship with a huge amount of firepower. Look at this. He's 1,000 damage. Another salvo. He's coming in quite slowly now. He has released his torpedoes, but fortunately we're behind this rock, so he can't damage us with those. But if all these shots hit, he will die in quick succession. But he is dodging like a pro, it seems. He's sort of nearing towards the rock, so we have to try and kill him off before he gets to the rock. It's going to be very close now. My last salvo before it goes behind. And we got him. Good. Okay, that was a nice hit at the end. 1,800 damage. Now we have this cruiser in the distance here, the Kuma, the same ship as we're in now. We can't use our torpedoes because, well, they're only within 7 kilometers distance in order to be effective. So we have to use our 12.8 4-kilometer main guns in order to try and get some effective fire on this guy. And we're using the rock as a cover. Some of the shells do hit the rock, but that's not a big issue because there is no ammunition limitations to the game yet, not like World of Tanks. You have unlimited ammunition, and we can fire as fast as we can fire. So we're still firing armor-piercing rounds. Need to get as much fire on this guy as possible. And he has taken a big hit there, 1,200. He is trying to hide behind the rock, similar to that of the destroyer, which was destroyed. Oh, and he's killed. Okay, good. Now, there are no ships to the south. There is, however, a Karachi Tier 3 battleship. What kind of distance do we have for these? We have to analyze where he's heading. I can't fire him exactly here because the rock is covering. He is heading towards me. So I can reverse, use this angle to my advantage, potentially use torpedoes to finish him off. He will... Oh no, in fact he is turning around, so I have the advantage here. I'm going to go accelerate full speed, go around him, potentially lay into some torpedoes, and obviously my main armament. He is focusing on the other Karachi because that is the bigger threat at the moment. He has taken some torpedo hits. We are winning the game, fortunately. Not by a lot, by 2, but the margin is there. So we have to get around this guy, use the maneuverability of the ship. Seems like the turning circle is a bit sluggish in this ship. I did say the maneuverability is great, which it does turn fairly quickly, but it seems very long, so it does take a while to get everything on. So we are firing our main guns now. See if we can get some good hits onto this guy. Try not to clash into our allied battleship. Get some more hits on this guy. I'm not in the optimum position really to get all the guns on him. I only have the front guns firing at the moment. I can turn a bit further right, which I will do, and then I'll use the very close accuracy shots to hopefully finish him off. But I have to be careful now because secondary armament is on me and he has his main guns coming around. If he did one broadside on me, then I am sitting ducks. But at the moment it seems he is focusing more on the battleship as opposed to me. Oh, and he was killed. The battleship had a good crit and he's finished off. So now there's another destroyer in front of us, the Watataki, however you want to pronounce it. We're going to lay down some fire onto him. Keep as far away as we can. Keep the fire on. 10 rounds per minute. We mustn't stop firing in this thing. We have to keep the shots on this guy. He's turning to side to me now, so broadside to me. He's going to start firing off his torpedoes, which is the major threat here. If he gets 2 or 3 of those, I am in a lot of trouble. I didn't lead those shots particularly well. He, however, didn't aim his very well either. So he failed. He only has 4, I believe, on this ship. And we're just going to fire as much as we can, try and get as much damage on him, hopefully to finish him off. There are 4 enemy ships remaining. We are winning the match. He's still quite high in health, but he's only a tier 3 battleship, cruiser. Tier 3 destroyer. So he keeps going in and out of visibility because he is using his smokescreen and the visibility range. He keeps sort of dipping in and out. We are taking fire by what seems to be the enemy cruiser behind me. My primary target now is to finish off this destroyer. Stay sort of within 5 kilometers distance, if any closer than that, and I am going to be sitting ducks. I could probably use my... Yes, I think I'll do a spread shot with these, with my torpedoes. Spread shot is always best against destroyers because they maneuver to avoid 1 or 2 torpedoes, and then the subsequent torpedo out of the 3 or 2, however many are in a salvo, finish him off. All we need is 1 to hit him, 4,000 damage, and he's a goner. He is sort of within range of... There they are. Okay, the torpedoes are coming in now. I think I've missed them all. Yep, he did maneuver away, but the battleship is coming within range of this guy, so I need to finish him off before the battleship does. Need to get the kill. I need 1 single round on this guy from the battleship, and he's dead. So we need to use this. Keep firing as much as we can. We did some good damage on this guy, but the battleship got killed. Now we're going to head towards the Phoenix, the tier 4 American cruiser. He has taken some serious damage though with the battleship. Sorry, the torpedo salvos. Oh, and he's been destroyed. Wow. The aircraft carriers really did outdo themselves in that right there. So there's 1 final ship remaining, which is the the Japanese Myogi class battleship, and he's on nearly full health. Now we have collided with this ship a little bit, but hopefully we can move a bit better than he can. So we are actually within range of the ship. We didn't realise. So So yeah, the ship is quite competent actually. It succeeds in targeting destroyers and cruisers. It's definitely over battleships. It does very minor damage. In fact, we can't actually turn much better than the battleship, which is very odd considering we are in a cruiser. But for some reason, the destroyer used his smokescreen to get away, and now the battleship is invisible. So yeah, we need to finish him off, and we haven't got a huge amount of people on our team left. We have 2 aircraft carriers, which are going to help us, hopefully, if they have any planes remaining. They do seem to have some torpedo planes available. Now we can close in on this target. But do we need to? No, it probably seems we do. That destroyer is going to probably perish very soon. I don't know what this Kawachi guy is doing. He's getting very close to me. He's sort of turning left when we need to turn right. He's being a bit of an irritable bugger. But let's get into close proximity to the guy over here. We're sort of nearing closer to him. He's still invisible. I don't think the destroyer should have used the smokescreen. I don't know if it's... he's sort of within viewing range of the battleship, so the battleship should see him pretty much all the time. The only thing here is it benefits the battleship, because now the battleship, we can't see him. So, well, now we can. Of course, it's still a battleship, so we have to be very careful about any type of damage he puts on us, because obviously it's going to be substantially more than the damage capability that we can put on him. The shells, the caliber of the guns, everything is better in every way than this ship. With the exception it doesn't have torpedoes, but it doesn't need torpedoes firing at such excessive distances of 20 kilometers. So we have some torpedo planes going overhead to hopefully get some good hits on this guy. Okay, they have laid them down. This guy will probably maneuver as best he can to keep away. He'll probably take some major damage. He's doing that sort of the semi-cross tactic where he has one going on the side. In fact, he has 2 going on the side. That's very interesting. Okay, keep firing down. We have 10 rounds per minute. He's turning very sharply left. But I don't think a battleship has the capability really to turn that. This battleship in particular to turn very fast. He has taken another one. He only has 10,000 health left. Seems like he might take one more, and then we can probably finish him off with a salvo. Oh, it's so close. He's gonna die by sinking. So, good game. Good game. Yeah, that was a pretty good match. Actually, we got only 1 kill. The important thing is here we had 80 hits. We were pelting the targets over and over again with the huge reload time, the incredibly quick reload time of these guns. We didn't really have any torpedo hits, but that's not really the issue here. Torpedoes is sort of a secondary weapon. If someone gets a bit too close, we try to lead some of them towards the destroyer, but we unfortunately didn't get the kill. And it's a bit of a shame we didn't get the second destroyer kill, because we did do most of the damage. And in this game, it's very easy to steal an ally's kill. So yeah, we got with the I think it's 1.5 times experience. We've got 1,829 experience and 65,000 credits and 90 free experience. So I'm very, very close now to unlocking the next tier, which is the tier 6. Obviously, it skips to the Oba at tier 6 and skips to tier 5 altogether. But I do very much like the Kuma. I absolutely adored the Phoenix and the Omaha class American cruisers with the torpedoes firing at sort of short to medium range. But this has medium to long range torpedoes at 7 kilometers max distance, which makes the difference if you want to sort of fire in between gaps. When you're brawling with a bigger ship, you can very easily take it down with just 2 torpedoes from each side. And with the huge rate of fire of the ship, it's a really, really good ship in my opinion. I'll probably prefer this one over the tier 4 American equivalent, just because of the increased range on the torpedoes. And the increased, in fact, I think the rate of fire is much better as well. So for the main guns. So yeah, this has been the Kuma. As you can see, I have actually in fact unlocked the Nagato today. Nagato is the big guy, the tier 7 Japanese battleship. Now this is one hell of a ship. I haven't fully upgraded it yet, but I'll get there very soon. And obviously the Saipan tier 6 American aircraft carrier. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.